Hello, everyone. We are live, and I've got the wonderful Lydia with me from Typical Books of Terror. And yeah, besides being a phenomenal booktuber, she's also an author, podcaster, amongst other things. And I thought the best way to introduce her was to actually read out just quickly her about section in her channel page because it says quite a lot. Now, Lydia is a horror author and an avid reader dedicated to exploring the darkest corners of the genre. As a curator of the Horror Writers Association New Releases page, she tracks and shares the best new horror books each month. So this is going to be a dark conversation, which is great. We're going to concentrate on horror and, yeah, explore the darkness. And we're going to also do things a little bit differently tonight. We're just going to have a little bit of fun and just shoot the breeze a bit, and just talk. And it's an honor having her on my show. It really is. And welcome, Lydia.
Well, thank you, Cliff. Thanks. I have been so pleased watching your live stream, so I'm just so tickled to have been invited. And like we were saying before we started recording, we've been lifelong horror fans. So the
Yeah, yeah,
conversation might span and jump around. There's no way to really script our interests because we've been horror readers for so
yeah,
long that,
exactly.
yeah, it's that love of the book that is going to drive our conversation, definitely. And I'm just so pleased you read my writing, and that's
Oh,
crazy.
I actually loved your book, uh, Pray Lied Eve,
Mhm.
right? Yeah. Uh,
That's an
Three stories.
anagram from my name.
Oh, wow. Pray Lied Eve. I never noticed that.
Yeah, it would take a special soul, a special neurodivergent soul to have seen that at a glance. But yeah, that's where the title came from.
Can I ask before we sort of go off on our tangent, horror tangent? I have to start like this. Where did you start reading horror? Where did your love from horror come from? Yeah. Can you remember how far back? Because I love your channel and it is literally all about horror. And you, that is your love, that is your passion. Yeah. So where does it come from?
That comes from my grandmother's bookshelf and my mother to begin with. When I was really little, I was like, Lovecraft, is that a romance, Grandma? And looking at her Stephen King, she had Salem's Lot, a first edition book club. She had a few book club editions of Stephen King and a book that I should have brought down here for show and tell, but I didn't. Um, it's a Edgar Allan Poe
Right.
poetry book, and it's very big and it's illustrated. It's got the Dumas illustrations, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And I would have her read those poems to me. I would read them once I could and not necessarily memorize them, but sort of try to memorize them as best I could because
Yeah.
memorization had fallen out of fashion in school by the time I was in school.
Yeah.
And my mom would read Alfred Noyes' The Highwayman to me and my sister on stormy nights so we could go to bed. That was our bedtime stories were horror stories, and my father would read Hansel and Gretel, but he knew the new Mother
The
Goose
grim version.
versions, and he knew the German versions, and he knew different versions, so he would always tell us a different version or mix and match versions, so it was
Yeah.
always an adventure depending on
And,
how macabre my dad was feeling.
yeah. And the grim version is so much darker. In the German, that is
Yeah.
horror. Yeah.
The first
Yeah.
time he told the one where a wolf gets stones sewed in it and it's drowned in a river and things like that, like, wow, I was floored, but it was delicious. That
Yeah.
horror's delicious when you're a little kid.
Yeah. And how old were you? About more or less?
Oh, like as far back as I can remember, having the poems read and the Grimm's fairy tales read to us or told to us for the most part because they memorized them, right? And a couple old Ojibwe stories peppered in there because my dad My grandmother on his side spent a lot of time with the indigenous families in that area. So they just told stories orally, right? But yeah, then I started reading Stephen King and distinctly remember grade 5 teachers
Oh,
asking me
wow.
if I was allowed to read Stephen King.
Grade 5. That's about 10 years old? 11?
About that, yeah. It was grade 3 I started writing, and I was writing like horror versions of Care Bears. But
Okay.
the the teachers noticed what I was reading in grade 5 for sure.
Yeah. Oh, but that's wonderful. I didn't start that young, to be honest. Uh, my mom and dad were a little bit more conservative, particularly my mom, about what I was allowed to read. So
Mhm.
for me, it was just your normal fairy tales and
Yeah.
definitely no horror involved. Yeah. They were a little bit more concerned at that time about, you know, bringing me up without having all that scary stuff in my head. But yeah, I kind of feel that you, being able to read horror and Grimm's fairy tales at the age of 5, 6, 7, that's a great thing. Yeah.
I think being born in 75 was sort of that cusp after the Cold War or the end of the Cold War. And sort of people, I think my parents at the time, I'd have to ask my dad if he were sitting here, like, did you think you were back in this 1950s or 1920s kind of resurgence? Do you think everything was going to get better and it was an idol and you could let your kids run wild and you didn't have to protect them from the newscasts or anything? Like, it
Yeah.
seems that they just let us be kind of free range in the
Well,
mid 70s.
we're in the 70s as well in South Africa. Well, okay, I'm not going to talk about the state of our country because you know about that. But as kids, yeah,
Yeah.
we were also given free reign in terms of what we were allowed, you know, to play outside till nightfall, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in terms of reading, my mom would, yeah, rather try and protect us from the darkness. So yeah, I've gone the other
When
way.
was the first time? And when was the first time that you had your hands on a bona fide horror book?
I was about 12, 13. It was it, by
Yeah.
Stephen King. And yeah, I
That's a
might have read
perfect.
it. You know, I might have read Hardy Boys, mystery stuff, and that kind of thing. Uh, but
Mhm.
more adventure stories than horror. Uh, I fell in love with horror at about 12, 13. Yeah. Stephen King just changed everything for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Same here. We had a lot of like Hardy Boys, Bobbsey Twins, Nancy Drew. My grandma was a big reader and she was very keen on, we didn't have a lot of money, but she was resourceful and she'd find like at a garage sale like a set of something for very cheap and talk them down even cheaper and
Yeah.
get like a set of encyclopedias for us or a whole bunch of VC Andrews or like Bobbsey Twins, Nancy Drew, Hardy
Yeah.
Boys. Even though we weren't boys, it was fine.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I read a lot of fantasy growing up. For me, it was Enid Blyton, The Magic
Mhm.
Faraway Tree, that kind of thing. I also used to read Secret Seven, that kind of thing. So I really, yeah, I only really got into horror a little bit later, in my early teens, and I still read a lot of fantasy. But this is a horror chat, so we're going to focus on that. And so tell me about when you started BookTube and your BookTube adventure, and what made you start
Booktube.
BookTube.
Yeah, Booktube made me start Booktube.
What's your,
Definitely. And I'm sure it's
yeah,
true with most of us. We watch it and we're like, I can do that. Or we watch it and we think, like, this was my driver, was thinking the books I want to talk about aren't being talked about. And this was
yeah,
about 2011, 2012, something like that. And I'd already had a YouTube channel because years before, when YouTube was brand new, I'd
okay,
uploaded a couple videos. Yeah. I uploaded a video of my niece playing Galaga or Space Invaders or something. And I uploaded a video of a friend getting a tattoo.
yeah,
Yeah, like an old video game, and she was having a blast and she did good at 3 years old and she got that video game high and then she lost and she had the rage. It was adorable. But Years later, I was in college as a mature student, about 2011, 2012, somewhere in there, and I discovered Booktube, but it was like larger channels
Yeah.
of mostly British women who were mostly either, I think, like worked in editorial or worked at Waterstones and had like a lot of, they were getting advanced reader copies, and it was all fantasy, sci-fi kind of stuff, or thrillers rarely, but mostly that Brandon Sanderson sort of booktube.
Yeah.
And I liked it. Like, it's bookish, right? Because I love horror, but I like books.
Yeah.
So it was like really cool to like they were reading it for me in a way. So I was watching these channels, but then I discovered Chapter Stacks, and she talked about
Oh,
horror.
she's great.
She's
Yeah.
super great and has always been great. And I thought, oh wow. And she had such a really kind of like just a really genuine, organic way of making her show. She still does. It's like she
Yeah.
puts on her camera and hangs out with people. And coupling that with me being in school with journalism, and I thought, well, I can have some fun with the tools I have. The tools I had were a crappy flip phone and a webcam. Like, I didn't have good cameras at the time. The camera I had for photography wasn't a good camera, but I had software to make the video. So I thought,
Yeah.
well, I can talk about horror books because there were no real channels at all. And like,
Such a
I
niche.
tried. Yeah. And then slowly but surely, like, I didn't make a lot of videos because I didn't have a heck of a lot of time. I didn't have good equipment, and I mostly didn't have time. And not many people watch my show. So I would make a few videos here and there talking about horror books. And then slowly some horror channels started. And then Rachel from the Shades of Orange started.
Oh, yeah, she's
And
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, and HorrorTube became a thing. At the same time, they pulled monetization from a lot of small channels.
Yeah.
And then the HorrorTube got angry, and it seemed that horror content on YouTube was being suppressed. So there was a
Yeah.
big.
You don't think it's still a problem? I mean, okay. Look, I mean, horror is not the most popular sort of idolized genre out there. I mean, you look at fantasy, you look at YA, they're the ones killing it, really, to be honest. But
Mhm.
yeah, and so yeah, I think the algorithm, and I know I saw a video of yours recently about I suck on Booktube or something, where you spoke about the algorithm, or you spoke about something. Just remind us about it.
Yeah, that particular. What's funny about that video is Regina from Regina's Haunted Library just
Yeah.
recently said, "Hey, Andrew from Grumpy Andrew's Horror House told me about this video, and it hadn't shown up in my feed." So, like, there you go. The video about being bad at Booktube that talks about how the algorithm does not favor small channels that talk about horror isn't even served to someone who is a friend, follows me, and is interested in horror. Like,
Yeah.
it's very strange. But yeah, that video is really fun. And I think
I
it's really important for horror booktube specifically because we are a small niche within a small niche in a very
yeah,
small niche of books and horror on YouTube.
yeah. Because I think actually my comment, if I go back now, I remember I said something about starting another channel about sport.
Yep.
And hey, I might do really, really well. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. My channel on horror, I love my reading. And, I don't have any idea when I'm going to monetize, if I'm going to monetize. We'll have to wait and see. Should we say hello to a few people?
Sure.
Yeah. And I know Matt. How's it, Matt? All things horror. I can't wait till it starts. I know you've been waiting for a while. Hey, Matt. There we go. And then we got my biggest fan. Hello, my
Oh,
baby.
hello.
And then we got, the Mark book thing.
Hello.
Have you started reading the second part of Avatar yet? Okay, and then we got hello to the two of you, and hello chat. Hope everyone is well. Horror is the greatest thing ever, besides Cliff. Oh, thanks, Matt. I do have some fans. That's good to know.
You do a good service with Booktube and Dark Gems. You do an
Thank
important job.
Thank you. Perhaps your parents were right to be concerned. What about reading horror at the age of 6? Yeah, maybe. Well, I haven't helped them. Look at me now. But I'm the black sheep of the family, most definitely. Okay. Listening while driving. So I'm dictating this message. Great to be here. Thanks, Nikhil. Good to see you, man.
And thank you. Yeah, that's a feat. You are talented.
Oh, not enough likes, my friend. Yeah, this is a thing. We reading outside of our comfort zone because MJ from Reading His Life is doing his banned books project. I don't know if you know about that. 24 and 24. Yeah. And she didn't persuade me. I did kind of say, okay, I'll read it. I've read a romantasy, A Court of Thorn and Roses, as part of that project, because it's a banned book.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I actually quite enjoyed it. It's quite dark. It's pretty dark. There's torture, there's stuff in the end. And Mark from the book thing also read it. Didn't like it as much as me. And he said if he can get 500 views or something on that video that he made, he'd read part 2.
Well, I'll have to go watch it just to add to this exploration of other genres.
Spread the news. Spread the news.
I wrote a romance story once.
Yeah,
I had the book handy. I was just talking to a fellow writer and editor friend, Tobin Elliott, last weekend about that one time I wrote a romance story for an experiment.
Okay. I saw your novel that I'm going to buy, by the way, after reading your last book. I can't remember what it's called now. What is it called? It's a vampire novel?
Night Face. Yeah.
Night Face, yeah. And
there's a lot of copies out there. I pulled the original from publication, but if you have trouble getting one, I'll send one to you if you really want.
And we're going to get into that topic just now. Thank you so much, because we're going to talk about the difficulty of getting books to this country.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, Nikhil, hello. Let's go. Hi, Maddie. How's it, John?
Hello.
Evening. Okay, so let's just go through this. Cliff Sparkling Gems here. Romance. I should open a romance channel.
You would do very well.
Even if I've read like 5 books, I reckon I could double my subscriber base for the horror thing I read. Okay, there you go. And of course, I agree, horror still gets sidelined, but those who do truly respect the genre love pretty much everything about it. Yeah.
It's very
absolutely true. Very, very true. Actually, going back to what we were going to talk about with that book, the problem of getting books to South Africa. But we're going to talk about that. I actually put my Amazon wish list once on, and people were saying they wanted to send me books, which is beautiful. I would have loved that. I was very kind of them, but they couldn't. They needed all sorts of things. They needed me to change stuff from Amazon, even Kindle books. They needed my PO address. They needed to get through all the sort of red tape just to give me a gift. And I just find it absolutely ridiculous. And even on Kindle, I can't get hold of titles. I can't get hold of titles like Jack Ketchum's The Girl Next Door or Off Season. There's a whole range of different titles that are not available in your country. So yeah, that's a problem for me.
We have that same problem. And I think that, and I'm never going to cast shade on the United States of America, because I love that country. My husband's from there. I love visiting there. I love all the great things that they have. But they don't realize that it's only North America, and not even only North America. it's only the United States that gets most of their media. We're in Canada and we're just across a land border. We're within North America. And there's
Yeah.
things that say North American release and it is US only. And they don't realize that. And they don't do the due diligence to advertise things properly. Like Amazon.com is mostly US only. And
Yeah.
they don't realize that, and the general public doesn't realize that, so they will be promoting or suggesting things that most people, even their neighbors, cannot get, let alone the cost of shipping
Oof.
overseas.
Yeah.
Like an American or an Australian author, Aaron Dries, talks about this once in a while, how hard it is to get things there, and the shipping cost is extraordinary. When I saw him at StokerCon, I was so relieved, thinking, I hope he doesn't get too many books because it'll be a real shame having to ship those home when he goes back. But like, yeah, it's the shipping is astronomical. The availability is not even there. And
Yeah.
I find this with movies too and digital goods. You would think that it would be easy to get the digital rights managed properly worldwide for a Kindle or a streaming
Yeah. It's crazy.
movie, but they can't for some reason, and I don't get it.
Yeah. No, I mean, like for my birthday, my wife imported Swan Song by Roken Cameron.
Yeah,
Um,
nice.
yeah, and because I wanted that so badly, I've heard so many good things. I love The Stand by Stephen King,
Mhm.
and it cost her a small fortune. And she got it through Take a Lot. I don't know if you've heard of Take a Lot there. I think it's a South
Mm,
African company, but they
mhm.
pay all the kind of shipping and the tax, the taxes, all the fees. But
Yeah,
it cost a freaking fortune just to get that one book here. But I was so grateful. I've got it written now, my name and everything. So my book. But yeah, it's a real problem. And with Kindle, I mean, surely with Kindle, you can make it worldwide, any titles. I mean, I go
yeah.
through my Kindle and I'm saying, I really would like this book, not available in your region. It's just ridiculous.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm wondering, is Smashwords available worldwide for real? Because Smashwords was sort of the answer to that Kindle problem of having the rights and the distribution managed so tightly, even though to most US people or even UK people, they don't realize that it's only within that little bubble they're able to share these things. Smashwords, I think authors can
I've never,
upload there. I'll
I
send
think,
you a link after we're done and see. We can test and see if it works,
yeah,
because that was all managed by the author. So the
okay,
onus is on the author to know how to do it, or have a
yeah,
publisher that will.
yeah,
But I think that might work. I'll have
okay.
to see.
Well, I got to read off season
Yeah.
because I had a subscriber friend, also an author, Michael Wittenberg,
Hmm.
and he gave me a link to a library, sort of a public library, so I
Yeah.
could read it online. So I finished one night, had a lot of fun.
Oh
But I'd
yeah.
love to own a I'd love to own a copy. I don't understand why it's and I can get I think there's a book by Jack Ketchum called Red, about
Yes.
this old man's dog that gets killed and he goes
Yes.
on a
Red.
vengeance.
Hmm.
I can get that. But
Okay.
Girl Next Door, no. Off season, no.
So weird. It makes
It's
no
just
sense,
weird.
and I don't know. Like it's really got. It's supposed to, on paper, be distribution or rights management. Those are the reasons. It's not um, a matter of censorship or subject matter. It shouldn't be. I know that here we do stop things at the border, and I get the quarterly list from our border agency about what's banned in this country right now, just
Yeah,
in case there's something I want that's banned. There never is, because it's very horrible stuff. And it
yeah,
should be only very horrible stuff. Jack Ketchum's writing shouldn't be on those lists. What
yeah.
are the used books and thrift store situations there?
Well, that's where I get my books. That's where it's
Yeah.
affordable. I mean, we've got one beautiful little kind of secondhand bookshop up the road. When I say up the road, it's about a 15-minute drive. That's a lot of my books come from there. Uh,
Yeah.
but we get titles, and I actually took these out. We get a lot of UK titles. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
We do
something
too.
like something like Ramsey Campbell.
Oh,
The dog.
beautiful. Oh, that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
but if you look at the state of the book,
Yeah.
you know, I can't buy new books. I can't buy new books because they're just too expensive. We have another sort of a retail shop up the road, about a 5-minute drive, a big like kind of shopping complex. There's
Mhm.
a bookstore there. And it's like 300, 400, 500 Rand for a new book. I'm sorry. That is absolutely
Yeah.
ridiculous, you know?
There's a lot
Uh,
of times some of these are about that cost too, like conversion, taking the conversion rate into account. We have that problem too. American books could be $15 and $30 here sometimes.
yeah. That's absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand it. Oh, just some more British titles. James Herbert.
Oh, my mom had that exact same edition when I was little. Yeah. Well, not
Probably
that,
in
but
probably in better condition than this.
no, it was about the same. It was about the same. And for whatever reason, probably because we're Commonwealth, we get a lot of UK titles here too.
Yeah, and that's we Commonwealth as well. We seem to
Mhm.
get more UK than America. And here's another British author, Sean Hudson, Death Day.
Oh,
So
that's a
these
gorgeous one. I'd never heard of that one.
Death Day, yeah, nice cover, huh? Yeah,
Yeah, it's super cool. I like Sean
but
Hudson too.
but these authors and certain authors, you get a dime a dozen, and I'll find them in second-hand bookshops everywhere. And of course Stephen King and
Mhm.
Ramsey Campbell and what's the other, Dean Koontz? Yeah, Dean Koontz.
So, yeah.
So you'll have certain authors, British or horror authors, that you'll find anything. Well, most things. They'll pack the store with those books, secondhand books. But it's very rarely you'll find something that's kind of modern horror.
Yeah.
Well, you won't find modern horror. I use my Kindle for that. And there's certain authors you just won't, it's limited in terms of what you can get. To be honest, if I didn't have my Kindle, I wouldn't keep this channel. I wouldn't. I can't. No, but I couldn't. I couldn't keep
Yeah.
up the reading unless I made it just a bit of a general channel, which I'm not going to do. I just couldn't keep up. Yeah.
It's compelling in a way to just talk about what you can get your hands on. A lot of people rely on the public library, but there is like you want to read new, interesting authors, or one author leads to another because they inspired an author you love. So you want to branch out, or you want to read new books. That was my problem. I wasn't reading anything new for a long time, but it is so expensive. And it took me about 2 years, I think, to get my hands on a copy of Gone to See the Riverman because it
Yeah.
was just too expensive to ship here. And
Well,
it's not like it's
mine
shipping far.
mine is on Kindle. You're
Yeah.
not going to find any, even in new shops. You're not going to find any extreme horror or
Yeah.
any new horror. You're just simply not. You might find like a bestseller, like I doubt it, but something like Tender is a Flesh or something like that. Maybe at
Yeah.
exclusive books or something, you might find a copy.
Mhm.
But I think it's about supply and demand. It's just not a demand for those kind of books. So they don't sell them in South Africa. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's Merce from Harpies in the Trees that had a similar trouble in Berlin. And there was also a language barrier. So
Uh,
she would go to the thrift stores and not find any horror books that were in English. But yeah, that was like real. There was just not an appetite for horror in a lot of places. And I'm wondering, Kasha, if she has a similar trouble.
yeah.
Like, I
Well,
know we have a
well,
lot of international booktubers that have this similar trouble, and I love hearing about it.
yeah.
But I also
Hobbies,
hate saying like talk about things that annoy you, please.
yeah. Hobbies in the Trees. I haven't seen a video from her for a while.
Yeah, I don't know if she's just busy or making something epic, because sometimes that seems to be the case.
Yeah.
Oh, is it frozen? It is frozen.
Am I frozen?
Oh, you were. You're fine now, I think.
Okay, let's have a look and say hello to. Oh, we got Romy. Hi, Romy. Hello from Southwest Georgia. Hello from KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa.
And Ottawa, Canada.
And Ottawa, Canada. Yeah.
Yeah.
In Norway, Norway, cool, super strange show. They really publish horror because the publishers don't take the genre seriously. Yeah, I think it's the same with us. How rude. Glad
And I love hearing about what's going on in Norway when you leave comments. I love that. So thank you.
Okay. Got to drop off. I'll catch the rest of the chat later. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah. Thanks, ma'am. Thanks, Mark. It's crazy because so many states are banning books, media. But at the same time, I think it's a blessing in disguise because the act of censorship just makes us more curious, makes us crave. Yeah, going back to the censorship banning, when you're just putting a spotlight on the book, buy me, because there's something forbidden about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Especially when it's a book that really does have mass appeal or says something very important. So
yeah, and if it's a YA book, every teenager wants to read it. Then something like A Court of Thorn and Roses, you ban a book like that. I don't know why they banned that book. It's kind of violent in places. And there's a little bit of steamy kind of layman stuff going on. We can talk about layman.
I keep forgetting the Stephen King collection that just came out, You Like It Darker.
Yeah.
It was banned in Florida, apparently, and I keep meaning to find out why. And I'm not sure why it was banned in Florida. And it's like the most tame Stephen King, really.
Yeah. I've just actually finished it. I did a review on it.
Yeah, I
And
loved your review of it.
thank you.
I've been pointing people to it when they're like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna read it." I'm like, "Watch this." Yeah.
But yeah, it was tame. It was tame. It was beautifully written. Just a great.
Okay.
It seems like they focus on popular books, but apparently the state of Florida is picking on Stephen King. It's not just You Like It Darker. They banned a whole bunch of Stephen King books.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah. So it seems like.
Oh, it's frozen again. I don't
Yes, we
know.
frozen.
Is it my connection? Okay, there we go. So they're picking on Stephen King and banning a bunch of his books.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Hmm.
Massive media, even more.
Follow up from the last comment.
Oh, yeah.
Just the tail end of the last, yeah.
And I have that exact copy of Death Day, Cliff, Sean Hudson, also. I have to read more Sean Hudson. I've only read Slugs, which I really enjoyed, and I got about 12 of his books. I actually need to read them. Yeah, and I enjoyed Slugs. It was fun. I was glad I've caught this. Oh, Gareth, good to see you. I love his channel.
It's tough to sometimes get live streams. I used to catch one. Oh my god. Why can I all of a sudden not remember his channel name? Oh my god. I'm having a Monday moment.
That's okay. You're allowed a Monday moment.
Oh my god. But yeah, one would have live streams and I would always miss them.
Yeah, I'm terrible with live streams and I use the excuse that I'm in South Africa with the time zones, but really, sometimes if the thing starts at 9, 10, I kind of pop in there and say hello.
Yeah.
But then, I've got my wife sitting outside on her own. I've got Layla playing on the lawn, so I can't stay that long. But I do like to pop in every now and then. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm very surprised to see a copy of Tender Dead Flesh. My local books, a million. We have a limited horror section. Yeah. Uh, and like the second-hand bookshop, I say that there's horror there. Yes, there is. But it is limited. And there's more kind of these old vintage science fiction and fantasy books, like very old. And it's completely random. There's a tiny little section. If you look around the shop, it's quite a big shop for its size. You might find like a Richard Layman book. You might find a random Robert McCammon book or something. But yeah, it's not like what you see in America. I'm sure you get some big
the shop. You did a video of that.
I did do
shop,
a video.
right? Yeah, okay. I love that because it mirrors a lot of the smaller town experience here. But I've gone to places like Books a Million, or there's a place in the US called Second and Charles, which is a used book fantasy land. I just love it. I love it. We have a few good bookstores here, but nothing quite big like that.
Yeah, we don't. Even when I was living in Johannesburg, there nothing big, nothing like that. And even the big bookstores, the horror section will be very small. There's just not a market for it. It's
a lot of stores here. We're moving away from having a horror section entirely. They would have a fantasy and sci-fi of the three genres, the speculative genres, but they wouldn't have a horror section. And I don't understand why. It started coming back in some stores, but there's still like stores in a mall near me. There's a little bookstore. There's no horror section at all. They have it. It's mixed into general fiction though.
Yeah, that's actually very weird. And I suppose you'll find a lot of thrillers and the horrors mixed in as a genre together, kind of thing.
Yeah. And you would think they would have all the horrors in with the thrillers if they have a thriller section.
Yeah.
But no, they separate those and put them in there. But if it's a general fiction, you'll find, I don't know, all sorts of classic literature and New York Times top 10 literature and thrillers and horror. But mystery, science fiction, fantasy, they have their own sections. And romance. Yeah. Big and very popular.
Oh, it's kind of sad.
It is, because it seems film has experienced a real boom and a lot of attention in horror, but books not so much.
Yeah, and music. I mean, we don't have any music stores anymore. Music has died a death. We had a couple of other music stores, chains, and I don't know. Can you buy CDs in Canada? Or
yes.
DVDs and CDs.
I don't know if we still have a HMV store, because I don't really. I would go to small record shops, not these larger ones. But a company that popped up the last little while, Sunrise is what they're called, and they have the CDs and stuff, and they've sort of taken the place of all those larger. Like we used to have so many different music stores and choices, but I would always go to one music store, Records on Wheels is what it was called in my hometown when I was young. So I always went there. Yeah, Records on Wheels.
Yeah.
They didn't have a mobile unit, so I don't know why it was called that, but yeah. And then I gravitated from there to another small store. There was a Star Tracks, I think, and JJ's Music Shop. And then moving here, there's a few small independent shops like that it's like going to a thrift store, right? A used bookstore.
Yeah.
Vertigo is one here. But no, there weren't any large ones. We still have them. And there is a good used market. So there's a lot of used CDs and vinyl. I think the resurgence in vinyl records and the attention for collecting vinyl records again has really reinvigorated the indie music scene or indie music store scene.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a collection of vinyl.
Nice.
Looking at it, but as you say, in thrift stores, secondhand stores, we don't even really have that anymore for music.
Yeah.
If you go to a market, if you go to a marketplace, there might be someone selling, kind of outdoors, a whole range of different secondhand CDs, DVDs, that kind of thing. But all the shops have basically closed down everything.
That's it.
I
It's
had
got
a
to hit
favorite
them
there.
too, right? Like the trouble we have finding books or shipping them,
Yeah,
and you more so than I do. Like the store owners must have a heck of a time.
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, so there's actually no stores besides maybe a marketplace or something. I haven't seen any. Well, not definitely not where we live, because we live kind of, I wouldn't call it rural, but it's a little village. But you can't buy CDs anymore, anyway, or
Man,
DVDs. Yeah,
that's
but
that's
I only read now, so
yeah.
yeah. Okay, let's see what John says. Unless I go to a large city or get lucky in the second-hand shops, I really struggle to buy horror from the bookshops. Yeah. Now, look, I mean, if I know that if I go back to Cape Town's the place to be. There's a street that I love Cape Town. I spent a lot of time there. I taught there, and there's a street there that's like a tourist mecca, but it's awesome. It's got all sorts of second-hand bookshops and all sorts of interesting shops, and find a lot of horror there. But in Johannesburg, even Joburg, not that much. Even though it's a bigger city, it's just not a place for it here. It's not a market for it here. So it's kind of sad.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, I have a question for Lydia. You talked about wanting to read new books. Who has been the most impressive new author for you?
Oh, that is a fantastic question. I'm a big fan of Nicole Wilson. Her book Tide Pool was, I just loved it. It was exactly what I needed, written in the right way at the right time, and it was just good. And I can be a little biased with a Canadian author, Tim McGregor. Amazing stuff. And he does a lot of the same sort of things that Nicole Wilson was doing with a period piece, a Lovecraftian-ish sort of gothic that's got a bit of sci-fi, a bit of cosmic horror in a real meaty horror story, like meaty the way Stephen King would write meaty horror that you can really feel immersed and transported into. Those two authors are really doing it for me. Katrina Ward, I absolutely love Katrina Ward and everything she does. Yeah,
I have to read her this month. She's the next book on my line. Last House on Needless Street. Yeah.
that's a neat one.
Well, I'm going to
I
read it
like.
next.
Mhm,
I'm just
mhm.
finishing off The Worm and His Kings, and that's my next book. That's what I've got on
Oh
my
yeah,
radar.
I started reading The Worm and His Kings and then I lost it because I have a big pile of books beside my couch where I read, and often I'll put a book on a book, and if it's smaller, it disappears. And that's
Oh,
what happened to The Worm and His Kings.
yeah. I'm actually going to answer his question as well, because it's been the most
Yeah.
impressive author. And it's not for, obviously, the author is not for everyone, but I love Chad Lutsky. I discovered him early. Yeah, I know he writes a specific kind of horror.
Mhm.
Um, I suppose a lot of people say very YA, but it's very coming of age, and his characters are very damaged, they're kind of emotionally damaged or traumatized, and they have to kind of overcome this trauma, go on this journey of discovery. And his books get quite dark. There's a lot of topics like abuse and it's I found him very, very, very good as a new author.
Um, that one of Foster Homes and Flies
Yeah.
by Chad Lutsky, I really want to read that. It's been on my list for so long. I need to read it and I want to, because listening to him talk and reading the bit that I have, I like him and his style. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you read other books by him?
I've read that one he wrote with John Bowen, and it
Uh,
was sort of a folk horror, Behind the Barn or something. I can't remember the title of it right now.
okay. Was it good?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. And a short story I can't remember the title of, but yeah, I want to read, and I've listened to him talk on live streams and such before.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really want to read specifically of Foster Homes and Flies because I've been told that's a good spot to start. And if yeah, I want to read that.
Yeah, he's got quite a cool channel as well where he talks movies with his wife.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, that's quite cool. Okay, let's keep going here. Florida is the best and the worst. Yeah. How can they ban Stephen King? I thought it was. It's just what's going on in this world.
I thought
Leave the man
I
alone, man.
hadn't read the articles. I thought maybe is it because he in his book he talks about some of the animals, and I'm not going to spoil the stories, but one is titled Rattlesnakes,
Yeah.
so you know what that's about. And there's a giant crocodile on the cover that looks dangerous.
Come on.
It is spoiler alert. So like
Yeah, but
maybe is that's it?
that would be the most ridiculous thing ever.
Petty, a petty
Very
reason.
petty. Very petty.
Is that why though? I don't know. But
That's the world.
Florida's been going a little wild lately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God.
Take
I
my vision. Yeah.
picture Juan saying, "Hello, my beautiful visions," and I'm like, "But what visions? What
Take my vision.
dot visions?"
I
Thank
haven't
you
read.
so much.
I haven't read Poking Holes yet. Would you recommend that?
I do absolutely. And there's one story that many people talk about that features an animal too. Um, and it's sort of like you can come for the shock of that particular story, but you'll stay for the whole thing, especially the first story, the title piece, the piece that it's titled after. A
Yeah.
fantastic book. Yeah. And I'm really he was picked up by Apocalypse Party and they published his book too. I think that that is a beautiful relationship. Apocalypse Party and Juan Valencia,
Yeah.
perfect pairing.
Yeah. No, I really want to read it. Let's just
Mhm.
see if it's available to me on Kindle.
Yeah, right? I mean, I hope so. And I'm sure if it wasn't, I think Juan may help you out. Who knows?
Yeah. No, like I say, people can't send me anything. Not that I'm complaining, because it really is just it's a gift thing, but really it's crazy. Seems like you have to either sell your kidneys or spend crazy amounts of money at a major bookstore to find a good selection of horror. Yeah. Ay, come to South Africa and see how we feel.
There's a very good horror bookstore here. It's too far away for me to go to, but it's the first horror bookstore I've ever heard of being opened in Canada. And I really wish I lived closer because those that do are spoiled rotten.
Yeah. I've never heard of a bookstore in South Africa that exclusively sells horror. There's never been one.
Hmm.
Just like
Hmm.
there's never been a Halloween store, huge thing like I see in America, that exclusively sells Halloween decorations and skulls and skeletons in blood baths and all that stuff we talked about earlier. We just don't get that here. Nothing.
Which
My little fellow
so
here,
sad.
I could make this guy myself, I think.
And I should send you, like, Halloween is so ingrained in our culture, um and from the UK sort of culture, and then the Americanized version of Halloween and the Hallmark version of Halloween. In the flyer, I think 4 years ago, for the local drugstore pharmacy, they had how to make a ghost garland for Halloween from toilet paper, and I'll send you the instructions on how to do it because it's the
Maybe I could,
easiest. Yeah, it's
yeah,
we have
think,
one hanging up in our living room. So I'll show you how to do it. And it's so simple. Like I could even explain it. You take a ball of toilet paper, you take a piece of toilet paper, roll it in a ball, take another
yeah,
piece and put it over top like a little ghost. And you have all these little balls of toilet paper with the other toilet paper hanging over it. And then you tie them on a string, and the way you tie them creates little ghosts. I'll definitely
I
send
can
you.
find a way to put it on my back, on the back here.
It would be
That'd be
perfect.
so, that'd be perfect. Thank you.
No problem. No
Yeah.
problem at all.
Because I'd love to know where you got that skull behind you that you're not going to show people because it's got damaged. Looks like it's been
Yeah, he's
shot in.
got.
It's like,
I dropped him one day while taking photos,
that's a
and so I
gunshot.
always pose with him this way. But
Yeah.
you're right. I should like that's horror
No,
right
no,
there.
that's awesome. That's horror. That's a gunshot wound.
Trauma.
That's
Poor
a
little
gunshot
guy.
to the head.
Yeah, I got him at one of those fabled Halloween stores at a Spirit Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I got this as well. A lot of our stuff is eclectic. Like this, it's a snow globe that has the music box and stuff. That was at a Christmas store. Like
Okay.
it's typically Christmas decorations, but it's got books and witchy sort of things and skulls. So they do have a bit of Halloween, but yeah, every year we go to the Halloween stores. I wish they were year round here. I know other places they are. Here we don't have a year round Halloween, but we do have year round Christmas, if
Okay.
that's your thing.
We don't have anything like that. But I've got my pride and joy, which is Lord Skull. And he's actually an ashtray. He's actually an ashtray. Yeah, but I'm very proud to get this little guy.
He's perfect, and that's you're going to have to do what you can, and when you stumble upon something like that, you pounce on it. Like when I was younger, we didn't have, if you wanted black candles or skull anything, you had to go to this one specific flea market that was kind of sketchy, and maybe you would get lucky, usually not, and there'd be nothing cool, right? But yeah, there it used to not be in every store everywhere, and we are very spoiled in North America.
Yeah, we are not, but hey, every now and then you get a gem, a dark gem.
A dark gem. It's true.
Yes.
It's true. That's why you do such important work finding the dark gems, especially in South Africa.
Yeah, I'm trying my hardest. Okay,
Mhm.
Booktube has shown me how lucky I am in the UK for bookshops. Yeah, I've seen some of your videos, Gareth. Very awesome when you go on those with all the other booktubers in the UK. You guys look like you're having a blast, and you go to all those big bookstores and hang out. It was an awesome video. Okay, so we got Matt who says, speaking of music, I'm sorting my records out today. What kind of music do you listen to, Matt? Hard rock, metal? I'm guessing not classical, but maybe.
You never know with albums. It could be anything. He could
Could be
be
anything.
into polka music.
Yeah. I had a CD player for Christmas because I miss buying CDs. You can buy them at tons of places here and from the bands themselves, of course. You just can't buy CDs here anymore. But we got so many. But all the music is on iTunes now. Now we got like I've got like an iTunes library of so much music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a lot too saved up, and like I had a Spotify subscription for a little while, but now I have a YouTube subscription because I do watch like movies and stuff on YouTube sometimes, because a lot of the times other streaming places won't have it. So when people say, "Oh, such and such show or film that everyone's talking about online, we can't rent it anywhere." So yeah, but my husband's more of into physical media than I am, so he's burnt a lot of our stuff, and he recently burnt a whole bunch of our albums, and that's
Okay.
wonderful. So I can listen to records. I listened to My uncle gave me a copy of Tubular Bells, Mike Oldfield's. Yeah.
The Oldfield's Tubular Bells. I listened to that last as a student. That's actually beautiful.
Isn't it? And it's the version I used to listen to at his house when I was little. And so it's got the cracks and pops and scratches that I remember. So
Yeah.
I can listen to it on my phone, like a newfangled phone, but it's the album I listened to. It's so cool.
Yeah. I had a CD player from the bands
I love
themselves.
buying stuff from the bands. I like buying books from authors, and that's a rare, even more rare thing I got to do recently. But yeah, buying right from the bands is the way to go.
Well, Gareth has got a band. Gareth, do you have CDs that you sell, or do you have music on iTunes? I don't know. Let me know. Okay. I love Little Eve by Catriona Ward. Yeah.
That's one I haven't read, and I haven't read the Looking Glass Sound yet either. But Sundial was amazing.
Well, I'm starting on Needless Street now. Soon.
Needless Street's so good. Some people, it's really polarizing. Some people love it, some people hate it, but I had a good
But it's
time.
very twisty. I've heard it's very twisty and
Yep.
not for everyone. Yeah. How is Ghoulie Gus going? How is Ghoulie Gus doing? Yeah, Ghoulie Gus doing quite fine.
Looking okay. Yeah.
He's doing okay. Ghoulie Gus, I could probably make myself as well. I don't know where Anita bought this, but I'm pretty sure that I could make this with certain material. Got that name made up for us.
It's a good name. It is.
Yeah, Ghoulie Gus. Yeah. What are you guys going to do for Halloween? Let's start with you.
Well, normally it's just a nice quiet time here. We watch movies and stuff like that. We don't go out or anything anymore. A little old for that, I guess. And I enjoy my time at home. But for the show, I'm almost at 5,000 subscribers, so I want to do a live
You're
stream.
almost there. I saw. You're
Yeah.
almost there. Yeah.
Yeah, really close. Like so pleased and like yeah. So I want to do a live stream where I'll talk about books and a bit of an AMA so that people
Yeah.
could ask questions as usual. Or I want to show off some of the skulls that we have in the house, like the real animal skulls.
Oh,
And
wow.
some farm equipment because I have some heirloom farm equipment. So I thought, why not show off some heirloom farm equipment? And yeah, so I think a live stream, maybe not on Halloween proper, but that's the plan. It'll be around Halloween and Halloween themed.
I'm keeping an eye on that 5,000. That's awesome.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah. Okay, what am I doing for Halloween? We don't go out much. Got a sea view. We'll probably just stay home, have dinner. Haven't actually need to sit outside and light a fire. Haven't done that for a while. Maybe have a braai. You know what a braai is? A
No.
braai is like it's a barbecue. Like it's a barbecue. So it's outdoor barbecue. It's a braai. In South Africa we call it a braai. Wood braai. And so we put sausage called boerewors, put it on the braai, and so we might do something like that, and then just relax at home, and maybe put up some decorations. If you can send me the ghost decoration toilet paper thing, I might do that.
I made this toilet paper ghost decoration, I tell you, and it was a hit. My husband said no to not take it down, and 2 years later I did because it was dusty, and I made a new one for him because he liked it so much. So
we got to be careful that we don't drop the toilet paper, because Layla, if she gets hold of that, she loves to rip up toilet paper and whatever she gets hold of. So we'll have to make sure that it's out.
those. Yeah, thinking they're toys.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Okay. Tie tissue to lollipops to make little ghosts for kids on Halloween. Oh, that's cool, man.
That's exactly.
Yeah, tell me how you do
it. Mm-hmm.
You name the genre of music, media in general, and I listen to it. So pretty much anything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've also got a very eclectic taste. I mean, I listen to everything from Neil Young to Van Morrison to freaking Metallica And okay, I don't really go much heavier than that these days. I listen to pretty much everything, as does my wife. Yeah. Leonard Cohen. I love Leonard Cohen.
Oh, Leonard Cohen's great.
My wife,
Yeah, a little bit eclectic here, but I do gravitate to metal and punk.
yeah.
And some good cello music.
Yeah, I love Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. They're probably my favorite. Black Sabbath. But I like Metallica as well. Our wedding song, we danced to Dance Me to the End of Love, Leonard Cohen.
Cute. That's a good one.
Cute, yeah. But if you know the hidden meaning of a song, it's a hell of a lot darker than you would think.
Most of his stuff seems to be.
It's about the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, not religious.
Oh. So polka music, but not religious music. Oh, that's good. That's a good choice. Ella Fitzgerald is great. Nina Simone's one of my more favorite too.
Yeah, Nina Simone is quite nice as well. Beautiful voice. I talk too much. No, you don't, Matt. Come on. That's what this live is about, having conversations with you and with everyone. Don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hi, Angel.
Oh, hello. It's okay to be late. That's fine.
Recommend me a good horror book that hasn't been mentioned on YouTube, please. I don't have Kindle Unlimited. Okay, I'm leaving this to you.
Yeah. A good horror book that hasn't been mentioned on YouTube, like by anybody, or wow.
Well, I've got one that I've mentioned no one has ever mentioned.
What's that? The one that no one's ever
I'm
mentioned.
going to think about it now. I can't remember the name. There's probably a reason for it.
Because there are, like there's so many books that we all talk about, right? And sometimes there's those hidden gems that people don't talk about. So,
Michael McDowell, The Elementals. I very, very rarely hear that mentioned. Or any Michael McDowell. There's a couple of other ones as well. What's it? Cold Moon Over Babylon. Michael McDowell. What's the other one? Quite a few. Haven't heard him mention much on YouTube.
I always talk about Usher's Passing by Robert McCammon as being one that not enough people talk about or read. I really, really like that story.
I mean, we can get back to Sean Hudson. No one ever mentioned Sean Hudson, right?
Yeah, he's the forgotten author.
The forgotten horror author from Great Britain. Yeah. So see if I've got something else here.
The Cartoonist by Sean Costello. That's an old 80s or maybe early 90s horror that I never hear anyone talk about, and it freaked me out pretty bad. And if you're interested in cartoonists, then it really does a deep dive into the lifestyle and the labor of a cartoonist and the madness that would ensue, perhaps. It's been a long time since I read that book.
We should do another video of underrated gems, sort of like
In a Lonely Place by Carl Edward Wagner is one that not enough people talk about, and I'm guilty of that because I got it and I read it again. It was a book that I discovered as a kid and lost track of, and then it was republished by Valancourt, and I keep meaning to do a review talking about the importance of Carl Edward Wagner, and I keep forgetting to, so maybe that's my vote. In a Lonely Place.
This is a bit of an inspiration to do another video on unknown books that I don't talk about. Maybe do something like that. Because I did one at the beginning of my channel, and I was still very new, and I was still not that comfortable in front of the camera, but it's one of my more popular videos. So I did an underrated, I can't remember what it was called, like underrated gems or something. And one of them was Wet Work by, I can't remember the name of the author. And I have no idea where it is, so I'm not going to bother. But it's basically a kind of a zombie apocalypse thing, but very different. And it's the only novel that he ever wrote.
Oh,
And
wow.
then he
It's
died.
ringing a bell too. Yeah.
Philip,
I,
Philip Nutman? Philip
I'm going to
Nutman.
go back and watch your video.
Please don't. That was like in the first month that I was doing Booktube.
I have old videos because I've had a channel for a very long time and I've
Yeah.
pulled down some of them, but some of them get a lot of views, you know, like there's a really bad video of me talking about The Troop by Nick Cutter, and I can't, like, it's a good little review, I guess.
I don't know why I chose to do the third video that I ever made after my Booktube newbie day, or the second or third video, was my top 10 horror of all time. And
Mhm.
it's got something like 15,000 views and I don't know how many likes. And it's when I was like, my lighting was bad, the sound was terrible, I looked terrible. I was like, kind of kind of per script, you know what I mean? I was being so
Yeah.
exact about what I wanted to say, and yet it's popular. So yeah,
It's those top 10 and top 5 videos. You ask Jason White has that phenomena as well.
yeah,
His most popular video was like a top 5 or top 10. And he's done a few that have done really well. So people seem to
yeah,
really like that. I did a
yeah,
top 5, like, most important extreme books or something like that. That's still very popular because people like top 5, top 10.
yeah. They do. I've done quite a few of them, and they are popular. But you can't do them forever, can you? Yeah, you always have
Mhm.
to find more content. You always have to find new ideas. And that's another good topic of conversation, actually. I mean, how do you come up with ideas for your channel? You know, kind of keeping it to horror and keeping it to things that'll keep people interested in what you're talking about. I, I, I don't really struggle so much. I have a lot of ideas, but sometimes you think, oh, what can I do now? That, you know?
Um, hmm. 1 second. I had to get some juice, some coffee, some brain
Okay.
juice. Uh, uh, I struggle with ideas, and it doesn't sound like I would, because even me thinks,
Yeah,
you know, the angel on my shoulder says, just make what people want to watch. They obviously want to watch top 5, top 10, best of, new books coming out. That's what
yeah,
people like to watch. People don't like to watch reviews or navel gazing or just talking about books in general or bookishness. But then the devil on my shoulder says, make reviews, make the videos no one wants to see, make videos about your trip to the bookstore, the videos that people don't really watch very often. So I try and
but,
balance them.
yeah. But
Um,
you have to listen to both. You have to listen to the
mhm.
angel and the demon, both shoulders, because you got to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
If it's making you happy, you got to create the content that makes you happy, no matter
I
what that is.
love, yeah. And like, I like doing reviews, and I like not only
Yeah,
just doing reviews to share the book. I like experimenting with the teleprompter. I like experimenting with just notes or if winging it entirely,
yeah,
which I no, usually do. I like talking about books that I think are the new important books in the horror genre. So I don't like really reviewing old books. But then I want to also talk about In a Lonely Place by Carl Edward Wagner as often as I can. So my ideas are partially from watching other channels, for sure. I see what
yeah.
other channels do. I get ideas because of the books that come out on the new releases list from Horror Writers Association, and I'm always looking to see what's new because
Yeah,
I always want to see what is the next new big author, right?
yeah,
So those definitely generate ideas, but I do get ideas from other genres too, seeing what like other people are doing in video games or movies. I do
yeah.
watch a lot of horror movies, so sometimes that
Yeah.
gives me ideas.
Okay. Tell me about the Horror Writers Association. How long you've been there? How long
Mm.
you've been working there? What is it all about? Does it relate to me here in South Africa at all? Is there any kind of thing you can tell me about that?
There is a South African chapter, as far as
Is it?
I recall,
Oh,
and I can't remember the name of the the organizer of it right now. I'll have to look it up and I'll get back to you. There
Yeah.
is a South African chapter, I'm positive. It was about 4 years ago that he launched it too.
Yeah.
Not a lot of authors, but it's needed. And there's a Spain chapter, there's UK chapters, there's an Australian chapter, there's there was a new chapter just launched. I don't know if it's Portugal or something. So it is a worldwide organization,
Yeah.
and it was started out years and years ago, known as Howl, the Horror and Occult Writers League, I think is what it was called. And they changed that name eventually. I started noticing it because I'd see horror books, like Stephen King books, that said Bram Stoker Award nominated. And I was like, oh, what's Bram Stoker Award? I want one of those. And so I started looking them up. Yeah, I was like, and then I thought, well, that's a hallmark of good horror. I'll
Yeah.
read books that say Bram Stoker Award nominated or Bram Stoker Award winner. Because we all know who Bram Stoker is, the author
Yeah.
of Dracula. And
Right.
we're
Yeah.
like, these people know horror. And it is an organization of horror people. So I guess it was you need to have a certain credentials to join. You have to have sold X amount of stories or words or have made money
Yeah.
from writing.
From writing. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not.
Or be
It's not
needy.
about joining. It's not so much about
No.
joining. I'm just fascinated because I actually got a gift from a South African horror author recently. He
Oh,
sent
cool. Oh,
me
I'm
actually.
yelling now.
There's a bunch of others. I did a video. He sent me 4 of his books.
Nice.
It's a guy called Calvin Demmer,
Demmer.
and my
I'm
wife
just gonna
started.
look and see.
My wife started reading this, and she actually loves it. So I'm looking forward to reading him next month for Halloween. Yeah, he reached out to me and he said he wants to give me a gift. Check my channel out. So quite
Oh,
chuffed.
yeah, and he's got quite a few books. That's so cool and really cool covers.
He's got some good ratings as well. What, 300,
Yeah.
400 on Booktube? Sorry, Goodreads.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I want to support more South African horror as well as general horror. So it'd be nice to find some more South African horror authors that I can support.
When I found out that there was an Ontario chapter in the province where I live, I got very excited as a kid, like a young adult. And
Yeah.
I thought, well, what I need to do is sell my stories instead of just writing them and sharing them with my mom so I could join. So I ended up making that entry level and joining, and it just opens you up to all these other authors and gets you access to see how they write. And there is a mentorship program if someone's interested in writing, and also you can attend the Bram Stoker Award thing. You don't have to be a member to or even a writer to attend that. Me and Regina
Where does that
from
take
Regina's
place?
Haunted Library.
Regina, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they're overseas. Usually they swatch from East Coast to West Coast in the US. They've had them in the UK and once in Canada.
Okay.
Hopefully they have one in Australia some year. I think that's the goal. I want to see what other chapters there are. So I'm just trying to pull up the chapter list.
Yeah, go for it.
But then I started volunteering because as a member, you see, there used to be like a message board. And I noticed one day they were looking for volunteers for the website there were some social media things. I didn't want to do that, but the new releases page needed somebody to curate it. And I thought that's cool. So I've been doing that for about 7 or 8 years, I think, something like that.
Oh man. That is so awesome. Tell me about your writing, because let's go there quickly, because I read Pray Live Eve. Have I got that right? Pray Live Eve, yeah. I just want to get I'm going to do a review on it, or like at the end of the month. But the first story I really enjoyed. It was creepy, and for me it was a perfect Halloween read, with a glass of wine, kind of. And your attention to detail with makeup and it was very spooky. That's all I'm going to say. I really enjoyed it. And the ending, yeah, not going to spoil anything. And the second one was my favorite, and I didn't expect it because I saw the little blurb of each story. The second one was about this ice falling to the ground and smashing the street, the churches, and the. But that ended up being my favorite. It was so suspenseful, it was tense. I really enjoyed that.
I'm
And then
glad.
the third one, all I'm going to say about the third one is that ending. Very good. But you went very dark there.
And it gets kind of gruesome, and
That's what
yeah.
I'm saying. That end with that woman. Oh wow! Oh, I love your writing there. You went you went kind of extreme there, but it was a great story. So a great
That
book.
last story I wrote in 2 days in coffee shops while I
Oh
was in
wow!
college. It just came to me fully formed. That particular story. That was
Speaking to
Bad Shepherd.
speaking to
Yeah,
animals. They're not quite
yeah.
animals. Yeah.
It was that one is also read live by Nelson W. Piles, an excellent
Okay.
author who just has a book coming out now. All these steps lead down. His book just came out the other day. Um, he was the voice of the librarian on the horror audio show, The Wicked Library.
Okay.
And I think that's a good thing for internationally. If you ever have a trouble getting a hold of new horror, you can probably listen to some of these audio podcasts. If you like
Yeah. Yeah.
audiobooks, that would work. Wicked
Yeah.
Library has a lot of good
Yeah.
authors. Chad
My
Lutzke
eyes,
has stories on there, I think.
my eyes are failing, so I might have to start turning to audio sooner rather than later. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
old age catches up with you. But I've always had a bad eyesight, but I've got astigmatism, and so I have to
Um,
swap these glasses with reading glasses, which is not good. To continuously swap. Um, and so yeah, my eyes take strain. So I have to limit how much time I can read, maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then take a break. My eyes are getting sore, which is not good. But age, I'm afraid.
those it's gonna happen to me. I had to get glasses later in life, but I think my eyes are giving up pretty quickly. It seems like all of a sudden I needed glasses, then I needed a better prescription, and then I needed a even more intense prescription. So it's happening kind of quickly for
Yeah.
me. But I
And my
guess
wife,
I was lucky.
my wife is finding the same thing. So
Mhm.
it sucks getting old, doesn't it?
It does, especially when it comes to reading. My uncle is a big reader,
Yeah.
a big reader, and there was a point before he got some laser surgery, but in between the time that his eyes were there was too much strain. He couldn't read, so I got him an audio book just to sort of tide him over, something entertaining in the meantime. But I'll
Yeah.
be there eventually, and then I'll go and rediscover all these great podcasts. But yeah, the Wicked Library has featured a few of my stories,
Yeah.
mostly found within Prelude Eve 1, 2, and 3. And those are all free on Kindle today for anyone that's listening that's
Anyone
interested.
listening? All free.
They're all free on Kindle right now. If you have trouble with Kindle, let me know and I'll figure out a way to get you a PDF copy or something. But yeah, Bad Shepherd is a story that they really liked, obviously. They
Yeah.
Nelson narrated it wonderfully on the show. There are Kindle audiobooks available with a different narrator who does a fantastic job of reading my books. And yeah, really, really, I like hearing my work read. I like doing readings too, but it's just not a thing that I get to do very often.
Well, you got the
Bad Sh-
voice, so you should do it. You
I
got the
like
voice, you should do it. Yeah.
that. I did read one on my channel. As is where is a not a haunted house story, but it has to do with a house and things in it. And I read it. No one really watched it. It's on my YouTube channel, but
Hey, I'll
yeah,
find it. Just tell me how far to go back, and I'll look for it.
yeah, I'll send you the link. But yeah,
But
I I love
yeah,
audio horror, but I don't listen to enough of it. There's so much of it too.
yeah. Let's just catch up with the comments quickly, because I actually want you to tell me about novel because I actually want to buy that. It's called Nightface. Yes, because that sounds pretty vicious. Vampires with serious teeth. My favorite Metallica song, Nothing Else Matters. Good one.
It's a beautiful song, really.
I like From Whom the Bell Tolls. And I like it. They did a version on Woodstock, the 94 Woodstock. And it just blew me away. Very good. Okay. I'm reading Burnt Offerings already. Yeah, we just did a video on Burnt Offerings, 70s video. We had a live stream and everything. Very good book. I never hear people talk about The Voices by F.R. Tallis. I've never heard of that. Have you heard of that, Lydia?
No, I've never. And I'm trying to like place the author's name. I don't think I've even ever heard of the author.
F.R. Tallis. I'm going to have to look that up because it's nice to discover new authors. Lydia recommended what's turned out to be one of my favorites of the year, and that's Grey Dog.
Grey Dog was so good. And that's a debut story by Elliot Gish, and it came out from ECW. I saw the cover and thought, oh, that's one I'd really like to read. And they emailed me and offered it. So I was so pleased because I don't take a lot of like advanced reading copies. I don't do that very often.
I've got a problem
But I'm
with,
so glad I did. It's so good.
even at over 1,000 now, I get a real problem. I get my emails that I get from so many people wanting to read and review them. And the problem that I have is I want to support them, and yes, I want to review them, but
Sure.
you have to kind of be selective because you also have to read what you want to read. What's the point of having a channel if you're not enjoying it? And you find yourself putting yourself out there for all these authors, and then you're not ending up reading what you want to read. Isn't that the point of it?
Exactly.
Don't you think
And
that's a problem?
that, or you would be spending time reading things that maybe you didn't prefer,
Yeah.
because luckily whenever I am offered something by ECW, I think whoever does the offering knows. Same with Noah Broyles from Inkshares. They know what I like and what my audience likes to talk about. So they offer books like that. And that's why I will accept reviews from those two publishers because of that. Or specific authors that I know, like, and there's some authors that wouldn't even need to ask and I would want to review their books. But yeah, I want to, talk about the books that I want to read. That's why I have a hard time because everyone only has so much money to spend on books. And I see all these new releases from the horror writers and other places every month. So I see 10 books I want so bad, but I can't afford that. So I go to my patrons and sometimes YouTube. There's a YouTube poll right now as a tiebreaker because I don't know what book to buy because I want them all, but I can't do that. And I can only fit so many books in my house.
I've got
So
cupboards of books. You have no idea if you look in our house. I've got cupboards that should be filled with clothes in this room. There's boxes over here. There's boxes. If I showed you in the living room or in the lounge where I watch TV, there are 3 bookcases there as well. It's crazy. And I want to keep buying because I love buying books.
yeah.
Like,
there's a booktuber, Books and Lala. She has a TBR closet. She refers to it as, and I just, man, I could see how that could happen, but so I have to limit it somehow, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Grey Dog.
And I mean, I don't have my disposable income, whatever. Anything I spend money on is books. We don't go out for dinner. Dinner here. We don't go out anymore. We don't go to movies. Well, we don't have a movie theater within 2 hours of us. So we don't have anything around us to, maybe we'll go out for coffee or go like for breakfast at Wimpy or something, but very rarely. So the only thing I spend my money on is books. So yeah.
That's, and that's the way to do it. I wouldn't mind a TBR closet or a wardrobe full of books instead of clothes. That would be fine with me for real. It's the cost of it. That's all. That's
Yeah.
aside from not really wanting to be tripping over books. There's a pile of books on my floor as it is, and I feel bad. Like I shouldn't.
I've got piles of books. I've got piles of books behind me, balancing. No, this bookstore. This little shelf here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things down, and I don't have space. So yeah, there's piles like this going up
Yep.
to. That's just crazy. That's crazy. Okay, let's have a look here. We good. We talked about this the other day, Cliff. But the older I get, the more I want to just be left alone. Yeah. I'll interact with people when I feel like it. Yeah, we talked about that, eh?
I think the
Totally
book's
agree.
too far away, but I'm just gonna say, Super Strange Shadow had said a horror book that no one's really talking about, and I'll have to say, Grey Dog by Elliot Gish is a good one.
Great dogs. Did you do that
Yeah.
on your channel?
I did. Yeah, I did review it, and Grey Dog is about a school teacher in the late 1700s that gets sent
Yep.
to a very far schoolhouse, sort of like Ichabod Crane did in The Headless Horseman, but she's sort of in Lucy Maud Montgomery territory, and everything goes very, very dark very quickly.
I need to. See, I watch a lot of your videos, not as many that when you do new releases. I actually need to start looking at those a bit more. But maybe that's because I don't really, even buying on Kindle, you
Yeah.
compare the price of a new release to something like a older Richard Lehman book or whatever. It's like you're comparing it to $3 to freaking $15, $16, $17. So it's crazy.
Yeah, there was a Stephen Graham Jones book I sort of wanted to get, but then I looked and you couldn't get the hardcover, the paperback here at the time. And the Kindle itself was $34. And I'm
No, man.
like, who's going to pay that for electronic version of a book? Seriously.
And I read a short story by Stephen Graham Jones, which actually I was kind of unimpressed with his writing. I'm sorry. So mapping the interior. I just couldn't get
Yes, I
into
saw
writing.
your
Very
review
dense,
on that.
I found it very difficult to get into. I mean, I'm willing to give him another chance if there's a book that you could recommend.
Yeah, and it's I know of a link to it because it was used in university syllabus very, very much. It's a story that first appeared in a collection called The New Black, and it's called Holy Ghost or Holy Son and Holy Rabbit. I think it's what it's called. Father, Son, and Holy Rabbit, maybe. I think that's more of it. Father, Son, Holy Rabbit. Anyway, it's really good. Like really, really, really good. And I think it also appeared in one of the best horror of the year.
Okay.
The
I'll
Ellen
look at
Datlow collections. It's so good. I'll send you a link to it. I agree though with mapping the interior. Like from the description, I wanted a different story.
Yeah.
So
It
I like
was
the angle of the fancy dancing ghost dad.
yeah. I just expected something completely different.
Yeah, me too.
And I didn't get what I wanted. Yeah. So
Mhm. I'll send you a link to that short story because it's what made me very interested, and I liked The Only Good Indian, or The Only Good Indians, plural. I liked that story a lot.
yeah, because I know there's a couple of booktubers as well that absolutely love the other series that he does. What's it called?
The Angel of Indian Lake.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know what the first one. It's a slasher thing, isn't it?
Is it My
Yeah,
Heart is a Chainsaw? Is that
yeah,
the first
Mahadi
one?
yeah,
I think
yeah.
I've got that here too.
Because I got a couple of booktube friends that absolutely rave about that series. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I want to read it. I've had it for a bit. I picked it up because I like his reading and I like his writing. There's some books of his I don't like. I tried reading I Was a Teenage no, not that one.
Teenage slasher.
The last
Yes, sir.
final girl or
Oh, okay.
something. Yeah, it's over in my giveaway pile right now, but it just
Didn't
wasn't
like
for
it.
me.
Yeah,
But I love hearing him talk about writing. I've heard him interviewed on Brian Keene's old show, the Horror Show
Frank Keen.
podcast, and I've seen him on other live streams being interviewed. I've heard him interviewed on other podcasts. I love hearing him talk about writing because he's a fantastic professor
Yeah,
of literature and he's a fantastic person. So,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm going to definitely give him another chance. So maybe The Only Good Indians, I mean, depending on what it costs on Kindle for me, because I'm
Yeah.
really trying to keep my costs down with books, buying books. And there's so many books that are recommended on Booktube that are new releases that I just can't afford. I mean, I'm not like you say, I'm not going to be spending $20, $30 on a new release when I could buy 10 books for that
Mhm.
amount of money. Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm a big fan.
That's
In
why
terms
I
of
don't
comics,
have book subscriptions either because they're too expensive here to ship
yeah,
here.
yeah. Artists cannibalize on each other. They need each other to survive. I like that.
It's true.
Yeah,
That's why I steal ideas. No, I mean, that's why I get inspired by other booktubers.
yeah. I remember you talking about heartbeats, and you sold me on a very cool covers like Adam Neville's covers. Heartbeats. Um, Adam Neville. I just read The Ritual. I
Oh,
really
did you
enjoyed it.
like it?
I like it. Yeah,
Hmm. The film takes a different turn. There's a whole group of people not in the film, but yeah, I like the book a lot.
yeah, yeah. I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm going to try it.
It's good.
The Voices was excellent. Set in England during the summer heat wave. Trying to sleep. Then one night, odd noises come from the baby monitor. Sounds interesting.
I like summer heatwave books for some reason. Blackout books, summer heatwave books, cold, like
Storm.
ice storm books. I want there to be more ice storm books because I've lived through a
The
wicked
terror.
ice storm.
The
And
terror.
yeah, and I have the terror. I've watched the miniseries and I've began reading it. I know the story so well because I'm
Yeah,
very interested in the history of the Erebus and the terror. So yeah, absolutely love that story.
yeah. No, you have to finish it. It's brilliant,
Mm.
and it gets so harrowing and so dark. It's so such a disturbing story.
Dan Simmons is a fantastic author, but I tried to read Drood and I couldn't get into that at all. And it turned me off him for too many years. I should have read Terror a long time ago.
Yeah. Can you again mention the books you have on Kindle?
Oh, sure, yeah. There's Prelight Eve 1 and 2 and 3. They're short story collections. And I can put a link in. Maybe I'll send a link. And if Cliff could share it, I don't know. I also have it listed as a comment on my most recent video. Yeah, if you search Kindle for Lydia Peaver, and you can get there by going to amazon.com/author/Lydia, and that will bring you to my author page and show you it has all of the books, so it'll have collections that I've had a story in, but Prelight Eve 1, 2, and 3 are free on Kindle today.
And it's worth it. Beautiful stories. Okay.
I wonder if I can just join the stream on my phone and put the link in the chat. I think I can do that.
Oh, now this is a good question. Any plans for social media, Cliff? And what are your socials, Lydia? Goodreads. That's all I've got at the moment, but I'm planning on one day getting more. WhatsApp. I don't know.
I have Instagram, and that's mostly where I'm active because I barely use Facebook, and I just don't like Facebook very much. But I do have stuff posted there, mostly because Instagram shares stuff to Facebook
Yeah.
automatically, which is handy. I'm sometimes on Twitter. I can be found everywhere by the handle Typical Lydia. So at Typical Lydia on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook as well. That is entirely different to books. So that's
Mhm.
just a general social thing for me.
I discovered, and I knew this already, but I rediscovered it seeing the author Nick Cutter talk. He doesn't have any social media at
At
all,
all.
and that no, not anything, not anything, which is
Yeah.
fantastic. He's a very popular author, but he connects with
Oh,
his fans when he goes and does an event, right?
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very friendly. Yeah,
It's not,
like
social media is not for everyone.
mhm.
Yeah. Thank you for the recommendations. I'm taking notes.
Good, 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 good.
Yeah. 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 I can get 10 to 15 second-hand books for the price of a new hardback. It's an easy choice for me. Yeah, no, but that's the difference. You see, I can go to my bookshop and I can spend maybe like 20 to 30 rand, which is $1 to $2, even less sometimes, on a book. Like I showed you, like James Herbert Spear. Yeah, I can spend 20 rand, and that's like less than $1. Why am I going to buy a Kindle version, which I don't even own? It's on Kindle, for $15. It just doesn't work like that. I'm sorry. And then I might turn out not enjoying the book. You know?
No, it's very true, and that's why a lot of new releases.
Yeah.
And I said this on that I'm bad at booktube video. I like using Amazon because the books here in the store might be too expensive. Sometimes there's specials on Amazon, and I can get
Yeah.
to it. New books are usually way too expensive. So it'll be like $35 for most new release books, which sounds very expensive to me. But once in a while, I can get a book for a good price on Amazon, but it's not even available in stores around here.
Yeah. I mean, like some of the books that I've been reading lately have been gifts. You know, I had a gift from my mom and dad. You like it darker? I mean,
Oh,
I think that You Like It Darker book. I've got it right here. I think new. I think this cost about 500 rand, 400, 500 rand, which is about $20, $30.
mhm.
And I'm sorry, but this was a gift, so it was beautiful, lovely gift. But
That cover is cool. I like the different. That's very different from the cover that we have here. And my husband bought me it as a gift as well because he saw it on a discount rack for $15,
oh
which was
wow,
fantastic. Yeah, like not and in the US at the time because he was visiting home. And yeah, it's probably not $15 here. That's for sure.
yeah, that's quite expensive. I actually like the cover with the what's a crocodile, alligator. You spoke about
Yeah,
that. One reason it might be banned in Florida. Can't believe
I
that.
have to read the articles and see because I have a feeling it might be that they're so petty. They're like, "Oh, you made it sound like Florida's dangerous." Ban.
No, but they banned a lot of these books there.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's
I'm
not
gonna have to
just
read the
the fact that
articles about
Florida
it.
is dangerous. But then they probably, that Doomickey is mentioned in this book as well, in
Yeah.
Reynolds. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how anyone could ban that book. And even though I loved it, it's kind of dark, but it's not like, if they're going to ban this book, why are they not banning a book like Pet Cemetery? I mean, the subject matter is just so dark. So, yeah, I don't know.
Mhm.
All kind of sad.
Or It. I mean, It does have the scene that people talk about that didn't make it into the
Yeah,
film. Well, really, and that would be like a
yeah, no,
bannable thing maybe, if
yeah,
you're in a banning books kind of mood.
yeah. And I mean, they don't ban extreme novels, and I don't know. I think it's just what's popular.
One thing I love here in Ottawa, there is a room in one of the library branches, or the fact that they do curate them and you can get them ordered to any Ottawa library branch. they have a list of books that have been banned elsewhere that they are guaranteeing they will have a copy for people to borrow.
Oh, I love that.
It's fantastic reaction to the book banning spree that other libraries in other countries have been on. I love it. I'd love it, and I'm so proud that the
Yeah.
city I'm from, or the city I'm living in, does that.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely. I cannot understand it. It's so dangerous. You know, it's a voice of a few people who think they got your best interests in heart, and yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm all for the free flow of information, even things you don't agree with. I listen to podcasts that directly contradict one another. I like the Jordan Peterson podcast from time to time. I've been known to listen to a Joe Rogan show once in a while, but I also like conspirituality. Yeah, and like shows that talk about how toxic those other shows are. And it's important to
It's free
get
speech.
like you can't be a dyed in the wool anything anymore and be yourself. You need to make your own decisions, and
Exactly.
information's how you do that.
Yeah. No, 100% agree. Let's just go through these. Speaking of writing, when are you going to contribute to your writing, Cliff? No pressure, hey? No pressure. I'm not going to say anything about that.
So I'm going to find the South African Horror Writers Association chapter for you.
Yes, you must. Yeah. I've had the same idea for a book or for a story for a long time now.
Those are the best ones, because when you sit down, it will.
But
Have a good day.
it's to a certain point, and then I'm going, huh? What am I going to do now?
Yeah, no, that's part of the fun. That's when you grab a coffee and take a walk and come back to it.
Or you just write through and then have an absolute something that you really don't like, but then you can look at it again and improve it.
Mm-hmm. That's
Okay,
that's what I do.
Yeah, John says it's time for me to scoot. Enjoy the stream. Look forward to checking out your channel and writing Lydia. Take care, Cliff. Yeah. Okay. Love to see Suge's memoir, lead singer of System of a Down. But there's nothing appealing about spending $25 on it. Wasn't he involved in something really bad? What did he do? Was the lead singer of System of a Down? Didn't he do something terrible? Or maybe I'm thinking of the wrong singer. Hi, Nicole. Got a fellow author here. I might spend it on a local independent writer just to support them. Yeah. So what you're checking out there?
I put the link for the Pray Light Eve in there too. So eventually you'll stumble upon a comment from me, or you should.
Just put it in the comment section and then they can check it there.
Okay.
Yeah. So you say you enjoy movies as well? You watch a lot of horror movies?
I do. I have a podcast with my podcast partner, Wes Dead Air Knipe. It's called Dead Air Podcast. Okay. And you can find us at splatterpictures.net. And we also have a YouTube. It's new. It's not a video podcast. We just have the audio up with a still picture. But yeah, it's been over 10 years of us talking about horror movies. And I like a darker fare usually. And Wes likes a classic, very steeped in 80s horror and the foundations of horror film, where I like more new and experimental and extreme horror films. And we meet in the middle by doing a lot of like 80s, 90s, and some new horror. So yeah, we've got a lot of episodes. I think we're at episode 320 something now.
Oh,
Or
wow.
something.
That's a lot.
Yeah. My husband had a horror podcast dedicated to extreme horror film as well, called Bind Torture Cast. Very fantastic show. So we not only like both had podcasts about horror films, we really liked the same sort of horror films, and he collects a lot of horror films, so we generally watch a couple a week. It's a weird week when we don't watch a horror movie.
Yeah. I used to watch a lot, but really not much anymore. Now, hey, sorry, I don't even watch a lot of horror anymore, to be honest. Maybe I'm getting soft. I like reading horror. I love reading horror. But sometimes I like something just light-hearted to relax. And I mean, we, as you know, we went through a bit of stress the last few years. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's just nice to just watch something relaxing or listen to some music. Yeah. So yeah, but I used to watch a lot of when I was younger. I used to watch a lot of 70s, 80s, 90s horror. I like to think I've watched a fair bit.
Oh, probably. And I mean, that was the pastime of choice for a number of years, right? Like so many
Yeah,
people watched or went to the theater to see
yeah,
horror films. It was really the fun, exciting thing to do in a week, right? So
absolutely.
I think it's the only genre for me in a lot of respects. Like I read outside of horror sometimes and I watch outside of horror rarely, but for the most part it's horror podcasts, horror movies, horror books, horror
And that's what I said at the
conversation.
yeah, that's what I said at the beginning of this
Yeah,
this live. We
that's what we
dealing in, delving into the dark side here with you. That's
constantly. And I like for being a pretty happy individual, I mean, it doesn't seem to have that bad effect that the negative scholars would have you believe it might.
yeah. No, I still love it. I mean, I can still watch a lot of horror, but every now and then I just do something different. Yeah. But I mean, even reading sometimes now, I don't mind reading the occasional fantasy, but that's just me. Yeah, so I still like that.
Pardon me.
Hey,
I should. I've also often thought I want to revisit my love of Anne McCaffrey. When I was a teen, I got
oh,
into her dragon books.
Dragon books, yeah, Dragon
Yeah,
Flight. I remember those.
they were fun. That was fun.
I,
That was anyone that got into fantasy as a younger person here that might have gotten in with Harry Potter books. Anne
yeah,
McCaffrey was like our Rowling, like a good, wholesome, magical world that
yeah,
had its own glossary. Yeah.
yeah. I was into Dragonlance, Dungeons and Dragons, the
Yep.
Dragonlance Chronicles, and yeah, I read a lot of that. That was my, and I actually want to reread them. I might reread them later
Yeah.
on in the year. It's that kind of fun.
Mhm.
They got some nice, fun characters as well. Okay, let's have a look here.
Oh, yeah.
Having a kid out of wedlock. Yeah, maybe. No, but there's another one. No, there was someone in a metal band who was actually jailed. I don't know if it was for rape or assault or something really bad. Not sure who it is. There was someone, might have even been porn or something. I don't know what, something bad. It
Oh,
was
I
something
know
very,
there's the singer from I
who
forget
was
the
it?
name of his band. He's a singer
System of
here
a
in
Down?
Canada.
No, not System of a Down. And I actually liked the band. So when I heard this, it's like, whoa, couldn't believe it. Um, yeah, and it's very bad.
There's a singer here that's going through jail or well, the court system right now of a very
Yeah,
popular band. I can't remember the name of the band, but he had done numerous counts of sexual assault against minors at some times.
yeah.
So he's going through that ringer
And
that
I know
I
that,
wish he'd be put in jail, but like,
yeah,
yeah.
I know that's who I'm thinking about. Here's a good question from Matt. What are your top 5 horror movies?
Wow. Um, oh, I always answer with Halloween 2. Halloween 2 is uh the answer. Halloween 2 is my favorite movie of all time. I just love it so much. And I love it with Halloween. Like watching Halloween and Halloween 2 is a perfect day in my books.
Yeah.
Pieces is an 80s horror movie that is kind of schlocky, a little bit campy, but it's fun. It's super gory, but jokingly gory. Like you can, like, of course, the effects aren't all that good, but
I'll look
it's
that
good.
up. That could be fun.
Yeah, Pieces is fun. Pieces is fun. Um, wow. My brain was thinking books today. I wasn't thinking
Yeah,
movies.
no, exactly. Mac likes to throw a curveball there.
That's a good one. Um, oh yeah.
While
I
you're
like a
thinking,
lot of the. Hmm?
yeah, while you're thinking, I'll give a couple of mine.
Yeah, do.
I like my zombies. I'm sorry, I've got a soft spot for zombies. So, Dawn of the Dead. I love that George Romero trilogy. I
Mm.
absolutely love that trilogy. Well, it's more than that. But Dawn of the Dead with the escalators. Just everything about that movie. It's just perfection for me. And I'm sorry, but then on the other side of the spectrum, completely also a zombie movie, but Shaun of the Dead is
Oh,
a comedy classic for me. I love that movie so much. Yeah. And of course, I love The Shining, I have to say, even though I love the book and the movie in different ways, but
mhm.
it's just a piece of art, horror. You can carry on.
Yeah, The Shining's on my list for sure. I've watched it
Yeah,
several times and
yeah,
it never gets old. I could watch it forever.
yeah.
I love that movie, and I love the book too. I had
That's
a
what,
very
yeah,
close relationship with that book, but I love them both
yeah,
very, very much.
yeah,
Um, the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre has grown on me to be one of my most favorite movies. I love it very, very, very much. But I
yeah.
also, and probably the fifth spot is probably Martyrs, the French
Oh, yeah.
extreme
I'm too
film.
scared to. I'm too scared to watch those movies. I don't like those house. Those are extreme, right? Those are really.
Yeah, they are. And I have a real like I almost want to say like the number 5 spot is just open to some of the great actually I want to not say Martyrs, and maybe High Tension is my number one favorite. I could watch that movie every day for the rest of my days. I love it. It's a good movie. And I feel that way about a lot of the French extreme horror films,
Yeah,
that I could just watch them endlessly back to back. But
yeah. Because I've actually seen the trailers, and yeah, they're kind of brutal.
mhm,
Maybe I should give it a
mhm.
go. Give it a go one day. It's when my
Yeah,
wife's sitting outside, I'll sit inside and watch it.
High Tension's a good story. And there's one called Inside that
Oh,
is yeah, yeah.
yeah. I think the darkest movies I've seen, I actually really enjoyed them. My wife does not like them. In fact, she likes the second one, but I enjoyed Hostel 1 and 2. I like
Oh yeah.
two. I like two a lot more. Um,
Mhm.
I'm not normally into torture stuff, but just the setup and the story, and I found it interesting. And then, even though this is a movie that people hate, um, I Spit on Your Grave,
The remake or the original?
the remake. I haven't seen the
Yeah,
original,
yeah.
but
Okay,
I
yeah,
found it
yeah.
like I found that's a kind of, what do you call it, like a revenge, kick-ass. My wife didn't mind it because she gets her own back, right? If that
Yeah,
didn't
you
happen,
gotta wait for a bit to get
yeah,
the to the feel good
boy
part
does
of the
she,
show.
yeah, boy does she get it back.
We're going to sit down soon and watch more of those because there's a lot of sequels and I've not seen them all.
Yeah,
But yeah,
do you spit on your
that
grave?
is rough. It's for some people that's too much, right? So
Yeah, yeah, but I didn't mind that. But these French, I have an issue with home invasion and things like that. I don't like it because we had a problem with
mhm.
that in Johannesburg. So
And
it's a bit of a thing for me.
trying to remember if Inside takes place in France during a civil unrest, and
Yeah,
it would be a little too close to home. Absolutely. But and then some people would say, well, that's what horror is about, right? To help
Yeah.
you work through. But if someone in, say, Ireland is watching films about what's going on in Ireland, you're
Yeah.
living that. That's what's on the news, and it's terrifying for real.
Yeah.
It's too
But we
close to home
basically,
sometimes.
yeah. Well, basically in Johannesburg we were drugged, including Layla, and they took everything.
That's
So it's like a
terrifying.
home invasion. Yeah. So it's like we were burglars. They
Yeah.
they robbed us while we slept. They drugged us first, and they took everything. So now anything like when you got you got that one movie with strangers or something with masks over coming into your
Yeah.
house. I hate movies like
Traumatizing.
that because it
Yeah.
just reminds me of that. So it's a trigger because it's too close to home. Yeah.
It's traumatizing, yeah. My
It's,
father has trouble with watching things where people are set on fire or like trapped in a fire because he's had a few close calls with fire and has had extensive skin grafts. So, like, fire is
yeah,
not his friend. Fire is terrifying to him.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
traumatizing. So,
yeah.
yeah, that's
No,
a terrible thing that you guys have gone through. That's really, really terrible, especially for a genre of film that is quite popular. So hopefully no one accidentally suggests to you
well,
immigration.
that's nothing. Every member of my family, my parents have been held up at gunpoint twice.
Mhm. Ah,
My brother and my sister. No, I'm not even going to go there. But there's hardly any friends that I know in Johannesburg or people that I know that haven't been hijacked in their car,
mhm.
had their car stolen or thrown out, or B, been robbed at gunpoint, or C, had some kind of issue with crime. It's not nice in Joburg.
There's a podcast I listen to called Let's Not Meet, and it's stories of, hey, creepy, scary person that scared me and I barely escaped with my life. Let's never meet again. Kind of stories. And a
Yeah,
lot of them coming from South Africa are absolutely terrifying. And they're usually set up with, you have to understand this is like in the areas they are not safe. And it's not safe to be out at night. And we have bars on our windows. That's the way of life here. And those stories are always extra scary to me because it's what you and your family have witnessed, that
yeah,
sort of
yeah. But
violence and terror.
to be honest with you, um, it does happen a lot in the big cities. But it's funny how it's like my mom and dad went to Paris, Europe, and you think, oh, they'd be safe there. And the very first day that they were there, um, they were robbed on the subway.
My God.
So it's everywhere. It's not
Yeah.
just in one country. And yes, there's a lot of poverty and there's a lot of unemployment. There's a lot of things that contribute to crime in South Africa, but it takes place all over the world. I'm sure
Oh,
there's some
yeah.
places. I'm sure there's some places in America and New York and Chicago, even in Canada, where it's not safe to go at night and there's unemployment and there's crime. You know, and the murder rate's high. No, not just in South Africa. And I know that it's got a bad reputation some places, but it's also a beautiful country to visit. If you know where you're going and you know what you're doing and you're sensible, and it's still beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, there's capital cities with sections of town that are just like
Yeah.
a no-go zone on the daily for people, but they are also tourist destinations. Like lots of
Yeah.
places in South Africa are tourist destinations and
Exactly.
beautiful. I had a
Yeah.
doctor that was from South Africa, and he had books of like coffee table books of Cape Town and stuff, and it was like trying to like remind people that there's beauty and
Yeah.
happiness there too, right? Like the
Yeah.
insidiousness of some of the no-go zones here might catch people off guard, where you'd be camping in the forest and going through like the rainforest in British Columbia and
Yeah.
stumble upon a grow op when weed was more illegal. And
Yeah.
it could be an organized crime ring and not just a few guys with some plants. It could be a full operation with guns and dogs. So, yeah, you can stumble
Yeah.
upon it in the most insidious
Everywhere.
places
Uh,
or Paris.
yeah. I mean, there's places in Joburg you just don't go to at night. I
Yeah.
mean, that there's crime in Hillbrow. You're not going to go there. Um,
Mhm.
one of the big things I've told you that I love sport.
Yeah.
And in Johannesburg, we've got a team called the Lions. There's a big stadium. Where the stadium is a big, big problem because the surrounding area of the stadium is a haven for crime and unemployed and criminals and so on. And so even when the Springboks, our national side, play rugby there, when they're big games there, they have to hire out police and everything to patrol the area around to make sure people going into the stadium are safe and they don't get mugged and robbed or worse. But then in little local games, a stadium that holds 50 to 70,000 people, you're going to have maybe 1,000, 2,000, because people don't go there because it's not safe.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's more of a problem in the US, I'm sure, than here. I mean, I know there's lots of places in I think my Google started talking to me. Lots of places in Philadelphia that you just don't go to. And the people have to go see a game or something. We're starting to see more violence here. And I think that people are caught off guard because they've always, been able to really go anywhere in the city at night. And it's not quite as much anymore.
Yeah. And look, there are a lot of places you can go at night in Johannesburg if you know where you are and you're with people, and there's beautiful restaurants there, there's beautiful places there. It's just got a very bad rep because, of course, there's a lot of crime. So, yeah.
There's portions of Zimbabwe that are very, very dangerous like that, but there's also portions that are very, very beautiful. So,
Of Zimbabwe, did you say?
Yeah, I went to school with this girl whose father was a diplomat, but he had gone back to Zimbabwe and was kind of stuck there for a couple of years. And she was terrified for him. Yeah, and it was a sport thing. That's what made me think of it. It was a sport event that had been bombed while he was there, and she was quite terrible. But it's because that arena was not in a very good spot.
Well, I had a friend when I was a student, and we went to Zimbabwe, and she showed me around, and we went out. This is Harare. And
where he was too.
Got Mugabe, his house,
yeah.
And the area around his house, there's blocks around his house. You're not allowed to go there at night, and you literally have to know this, because if you get too close, you're going to get shot.
That's mental. They're used to it, and that's what you're used to when you know who you are, and you're aware.
And when he comes down the road, you have to all get off the road. I experienced that. You get off the road as quickly as you can, and it's not just him; it's whole entourage.
Yeah.
And so you get off the road. You don't look at him. There's a boss coming down the road. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's with her father being a diplomat, having to live that sort of lifestyle while he's separated from his family for years at a time, and then he goes for a leisurely day and ends up in the middle of violence and trouble. Yeah, can't win.
No,
I would like to see your channel on sport, though, even though I'm not a sport fan at all. But I think it would do really well. I think it really, really would.
Well, I've had a lot of fun lately looking at reaction channels. As American first time reaction to rugby, and people that have never seen rugby and they watch American football, and watching rugby's biggest hits compared to American
confused
football.
And scared.
And no, they go, this sport should be illegal. That's actually very funny, because they're both brutal sports, but there's no pads or anything. There's no helmets, nothing. I played all my life, and I got hurt a lot of times. Yeah, in fact, I'm carrying an injury today from when I played, but it was so much fun.
It would be. It looks fun, and I've seen a lot of good photography. Sport photography always intrigues me. Not interested in sport at all, but sport photography is one of the most beautiful things, because you're outside of war journalism is another beautiful photography of terrible things, but you can get that same emotion of humans being pushed to their absolute limit, or having moments of the most absolute joy while covered in mud and maybe having a lot of scrapes and bruises, especially rugby. Rugby photographs are fantastic.
I used to literally, after a game, go take a shower. And my back has been raked, and the blood would pool under my legs. And go and have a beer afterwards with the guys that have just been killing me. And yeah, next week I'm ready to do the same. I'm up. I'm ready.
Crazy.
A fun game. And the only thing you wear is something for your teeth, and that's about it. And yeah.
Which renders the well, I want to say footballers, the rugby guys
Yeah, rugby
really
players.
ferocious looking. Rugby players really ferocious looking because you've got these blacked out teeth, and yeah, looks even more ferocious, otherworldly, animalistic.
Yeah, but
And it
American football is also very ferocious. And in fact, head injuries are more common because they think because they've got helmets on and there's no laws in terms of tackle height or anything. They can go as hard as they want, and they think they're invincible, the pads and the helmet. So they end up causing a lot of damage. But with rugby,
yeah, and hockey.
you have to tackle below the neck. You can't tackle over the neck. It does happen.
Yeah, there's
So
been a big movement here to protect against concussion, but it still happens. Hockey players get concussed a lot, from what I
big
understand.
thing in rugby, huge thing in rugby.
Mhm.
It's a big problem with concussion in rugby.
It's
Even with
too
the
easy.
laws, because they're accidents. Because it's
Mhm.
you get your timing wrong with a tackle, and you're going to have a head clash. You don't even have a helmet on.
Mhm.
You're going to get knocked out. Yeah.
I can see people reacting to watching rugby for the first time pretty brutally. It's like, pardon me, the first time I saw MMA fighters, I was shocked at the brutality. Shocked
Yeah.
at the brutality.
Yeah.
I get why people enjoy it. I'm not a sport
I
watcher,
watched a
so
little bit. My wife hates it, so I was kind of still. I watch every now and then. We got a new middleweight champion, so I watched that fight.
yeah. Yeah. I liked wrestling as a kid, but that's like cartoonish superheroes. Right? It's not really a sport.
Okay, let's get back to these comments here. So we've completely gone away from books here. I'm sorry. Shining the
Oh,
thing.
here we go.
Remake, audition. Oh,
Yeah.
kitty, kitty,
Audition
kitty,
is great.
kitty, 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 kitty. And Midsummer, yeah, that's a weird one.
The Thing is so good. I love The Thing.
Brilliant. Yeah.
I've not watched The Fly since I was a kid, and I couldn't get into it when The Fly remake first came out. I was a young teen, I guess, and I just didn't get it. My mom was offended I didn't like it, so I want to watch it again someday.
Yeah. I wasn't crazy about The Fly, but it's, yeah. But The Thing is spectacular.
It is.
Depends on my mood, really.
We watched The Thing every winter here. I like watching winter movies in the winter, although I also like watching Lord of the Rings in the winter to see some green things.
Yeah. I don't think it was. Oh, hi, Maria. I think the first time you've been here now. Hello. I don't think it was.
I wonder who it is you were thinking of. What band? It wasn't Marilyn Manson, was it? Because Marilyn Manson's
No. Oh,
always in and out of trouble.
He's in trouble, is he?
He's in and out of trouble all the time. It's what he.
Yeah.
It's what he does. I think.
He's kind of twisted.
I wonder what band though. If you remember what band.
I've got a very powerful. He's got a very powerful voice. I just can't remember the name of the band. I don't think it's Serge. It's something he did work on a documentary. I love Anne McCaffrey's Dragons of Pearl and Dragonlance. Yeah. I'm going to reread Dragonlance soon. I really love that. It's not Rammstein. I don't think so. My wife loves Rammstein, but I'm not sure if she'll know. Maybe she should comment if she knows. But I don't think it's Puddle of Mud. No, it's not Puddle of Mud either, I don't think. Damn, I can't remember. This is gonna stay with me now until I actually remember who it is. I've experienced so many of those. Very tough to truly
Is it the
unsettle.
singer of Headley? Headley is the guy here that's in trouble. The singer of Headley.
No.
I never listened to Headley. They're not very good, from what I gather.
I'm trying to think of the song in my head now. I'm not going to sing it. Sorry. I've experienced so many levels of horror that it's very tough to truly unsettle me. Yeah. So, yeah. Having a gun pointed at your head is not the best thing.
Nope.
Strangers terrify me and I don't scare hardly ever. I don't really care for reality horror, sexual assaults and the like. Horror being inspired by reality is fine. Yeah, I suppose that's different.
I think it's insidious sometimes when a movie that's not necessarily labeled as horror has some vile sexual assault in it. And it's like that should be automatically termed horror for a lot of people.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of that movie now. No, sorry, the band. I can't think of it. It's probably going to come to me when we end the live broadcast. I'm going to think that's what it was. I'm not singing.
You need that app where you sing a song and it tells you what song it is.
Yeah.
I've never tried it, but I've heard that exists. So.
Such a powerful voice. Such a good band, but such a powerful voice. No, I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was for Very Bad Things that he did. I'm going to have to look it up afterwards because I really can't remember.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know because now I'm curious. And
I will.
I had just listened to Regina at Regina's Haunted Library and James on the Left Brain Cafe or Right Brain Cafe. Right Brain Cafe?
Okay.
Right Brain Cafe. Their podcast, they talked about this.
There's a channel, Right Brain Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of them. I know Regina's Haunted Library. I watch her.
She has a podcast with James Ippoliti. It's really good. They talk about like all creative things and endeavors and what it's like being a creative, and it's good. And they were talking about how to separate art from the artist, or do you, or should you? And that was one of the things they talked about, like artists and singers and writers and stuff, and some of the things that people do that are distasteful or have them getting canceled. And they talked about singers and the Foo Fighters guy, Dave Grohl. But so I'm wondering if they talked about the one that you're thinking about.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. I know it's going to kill me until I find it out. I'll have to look at that. No, I'm completely lost track of what I was going to say now because I'm thinking about this band. But let's say goodbye to. He's saying goodbye. Hang on. It's been fantastic. No, I don't think it was Rammstein. Again, don't watch the news too often. Hang on. Take care, you guys. Much love. Cheers, Matt.
See you later. Thank you for
coming. For hanging, man. Thanks for hanging. I want to know the title of the book you recommended. Grey Dog.
Yes, Grey Dog.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this has been a very good 2 hours spent. Absolutely.
That's a wonderful way. I haven't done a live stream in a long time. So I did one about movies, and there was like 4 other people, and it was super short, very to the point with scripted questions. So to just be able to hang out and chat is really nice.
Yeah, it's actually nice to be able to just sit back and chat and hang out. And it was such an honor having you on my channel. I really enjoyed it. I had fun.
Me too.
Yeah. So I think we're going to say, are we going to hang out together afterwards just quickly?
Okay.
I'm going to go crazy with this band now. I'm sorry. The reason I'm ending is live because I don't have anything else to say. I'm trying to think of this band now. Okay. Okay, but
I think we
guys,
got to all the points we had wanted to, because we talked
yeah,
earlier about like some of the things we really wanted to chit chat about, and I think we
yeah,
got to them all.
I think we got to pretty much everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was an
But
awesome chat.
it's been fun, and I'm glad I got to see everyone
Yeah,
out and chat about
yeah.
horror. Maybe we'll do it again in a year or two. We'll see where our
I'd love
channels
to.
are. And
I would love to. It'd be great. I know you're very busy, but yeah, I'd love you to have you back. It'd be great.
yeah, make
Okay.
time for it.
But we're gonna say goodbye once I've ended the live stream. Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, what did she say? Once you remember, please tell us. Yeah, I will. I'll actually put it in the comments. I'll leave a comment because I need to
Yeah,
know.
please do.
I need to find it out now. It's driving me crazy. Okay. Okay, everyone. Take care. Thanks for
Have a
joining
good
us.
weekend.
Have a good weekend. Okay. And we go there. Thanks for joining.